Hello, my name is Carina, and in this podcast, Break Fear, Find Freedom, I have conversations with people just like you who have broken their fear and found their freedom, whatever that may be, and shows you how to do the same. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee or your running shoes, whatever makes you happy, and let the fun begin. Oh, by the way, come take my hand and let's go. The door's opening now. Today is a very special day because it's our first Be Live, our first time to stream. And it's actually my first time to ever stream ever. So it takes a lot of courage to do something like this. And of course, it's our Break Fear, Find Freedom show with the awesome Dino Miliotis.
Hey.
And yes, today we're going to be speaking about self-belief, how to grow self-belief, because it's a perfect time of the year, right? Next week is next year, and what are you going to do about it? Oh, great self-belief usually builds on to have a beautiful year. Well, Dino, what do you think? What are your plans for the new year? And how is self-belief going to just make a difference to your year?
Well, self-belief, it makes every difference, that is the foundation of everything is self-belief. And I'm a believer that self-belief, like it's a new year. Yeah, it's a fresh start and everything like that. And people look at that. But to me, and I'm going to bum everybody out, it's just another day. New Year's Day should be every single day of the week, And so self-belief is very, very important because so many of us doubt ourselves, right? And when you doubt yourself, it's easier to believe the negative things you hear, especially if you're beat down over a period of time. It's psychological abuse, really,
Yes.
You tend to believe the bad stuff more than the good stuff, the positive stuff that all of us have and all of us deserve, Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people will bring up their upbringing, right? There's, if you were raised and nurtured in a wonderful family and they told you could do this and you could do that, starting out as a youngster, chances are you're going to start believing it and you're going to have that confidence, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of us aren't that fortunate. There's a lot of households that are not so lucky, and yes. This happens everywhere, every day. And how do those people get out of the funk? How do they break out of it so that they too can start believing? That's the magic question, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, just to go back on the subject about nurturing and having a good nurturing and a good start in life, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works and say that there's a few serial killers that have come from really nurtured, beautiful homes. So again, how does that just spin off? We'll leave it there for now, and that's maybe a story for another time.
You have to throw in the serial killers because they believe they're good at it. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you on that one.
I couldn't help with that one. But let's go back to the subject.
To be continued, right?
That to be continued, yes. We'll talk about that at another time.
Yeah.
So tell me, Dino, how have you built your self-belief? Because you go back, and listeners and watchers go back and you'll see Dino's progression, and you'll hear a lot of his story, how you've grown self-belief and how you've had the boldness and the courage to just do things.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to have self-belief pretty much all of my life. And that came from, like I wrote in my book, I'm 7 years old. It's not so bad now, but there was a part in my teeth when I was 7. And my dad, old Greek wives' tale, I don't know where he got this from, but he's like, Dino, you have a part in your teeth, so that means you're going to be a millionaire. You're seven, right? It sounds
Right?
good to me. I don't really know what a millionaire is, but it sounds good to me. So it made me feel special. It made me believe that, hey, you know what? I'm destined to do great things. And then we even talked about this last week's show. Is that growing up with that belief, right? Now it's time to test it. And
Yes,
so,
yes.
last week I talked about just some 5 simple ideas, just a few of really many throughout my career.
Yeah.
But whether they were successful or well known or not, the bottom line, my point was, like in last week's segment, was that it reinforced that confidence, right? That belief, that knowing you're on the right track, like knowing you got it, right?
Yes, yes.
And those are important hurdles, if you really think about it that way, because a lot of people. And let's talk about New Year's, okay? Because
Yes.
it's New Year's,
It's
right?
New Year's, right?
Okay. And everybody has this New Year's resolution, right? And I'm going to do this. I'm going to be that. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to work out. I'm going to, and all those are wonderful things. They're fascinating things. But just making an overstated sometimes promise to yourself is meaningless without the execution. Like
Yes.
if you look at the numbers of just health clubs, right? January 1st to February 1st, there's a huge spike in attendance. And after February 1st, it starts dwindling down
Yes.
where, obviously people aren't following through. Now, does that make you a failure? No. What it should do is that, you should dream big. Okay. You should always believe that you're entitled to everything life has to offer. That's the big dream, right? But while you're going on this wonderful winding, twisting road they call a journey, you should also reward yourself for the little things, the little hurdles. Okay. Because everybody needs that positive reinforcement. Everybody needs that pat on the back. And, I'm not going to say in today's world, but historically, not everybody's going to give you that pat on the back, the external forces. Sometimes you're going to have to give that, good job to yourself.
Yes.
And, some people may call that narcissism, but, don't take it to the extreme. But, here's the bottom line. You have to love yourself first. Whether you've received love from family or friends throughout your life, or even if you haven't, you have to put yourself first. You have to be the most important person in your life. Now, that's not selfish, because if you don't do that, you're in no capacity to help somebody else, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And so, throughout 40 years of my career, and even in the, short time that we've been doing these podcasts together weekly, you'll see me bubbling and stuff I'm human. I'm contrary to popular belief, I'm not Superman, although I'd like to think I am. But, I'm human. I have feelings, I have emotions. I'm not just a business machine, right? It's personal. Also, sometimes, kind of is important. I've gone through my ups and downs just on your show,
Yes, yes.
and I got hit with this bout of anxiety, and I didn't know where it was coming from. But I had two choices. Is one, hide and cower and just be afraid. The other one is to just kind of reverse my thinking and just look within, right? It's almost like a computer rebooting or downloading a new version of the Apple app. Sometimes you have to reboot your brain and your soul. And so many times people don't do that. But the answers, I believe, are always within. If you dig deep enough.
So how do you do that? Because that's a popular demand. That's what's been sprouted. Everyone's saying that because that's what the truth is. You have to take time with yourself, be still. But how do you do it? Because we are in this crazy world right now, right, with COVID, pandemic, internet, just bombardment of things and things to do, and we're busy. And how do you take time out and actually find out who you are and find out how to change those thoughts in your head? So to convert that fear into something that you can use.
That's a really good question, to make. All right, so let's just talk about belief before I get into it, and just to show you just a silly, just observation that I made. We have billions all over the world that believe in a God of some sort in religion. Okay, but I'm not trying to make a blanket statement, but it's the fact. Billions.
Right.
They believe in basically the unseen. Okay, they have a belief. Yet these same billions of people, there's a pretty good percentage that lack self-belief. So it's easy to believe in something that you cannot see, but you just believe in a higher power, let's say. But yet you can't take the time to try and believe in yourself. Isn't that kind of a contradiction?
Yes, it is. But isn't that the way we've all been brought up? That's what society says as a whole, is like you've got to believe in this outside force because it's bigger than you. Whereas we're not taught that if God made us all, for the want of a better word, okay, I'll use God because if he made us all, if we're all part of God, then we all have to be, if we're part of God, then we must be gods within ourselves. And
Right.
I think a lot of people, it's very difficult for you to believe it. And it's not only that, if you go to your churches or to your religious leaders and say, hey, this is what I've come to believe, they're going to call you blasphemous, right? And it's very scary.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's. I used to have this saying, and nobody got it. In fact, I never talked about this, but a follow-up to the original Oprah show that I was on, a year later, they called me, and I was like, oh, I had this thing I wanted to talk about. I saw something. This is true. I saw something in my dream, and it was just some bright burning lights, and it was just hot. I could feel the heat. And then I saw in us all, and they're just like, "Oh, we'll get back to you." They didn't want to talk about it, because it's controversial. It's out there. It's like, wow, what happened to this guy? But I did have a dream, a very vivid dream. I had a moment where before the dream, I was I was in a tough spot. And I was down and out, and I was selling, just to give you an idea, I was selling stuff we needed at garage sales. Like, oh, we sit on this couch, but I need money, so I'm going to sell the couch we sit on. I was broke.
Yeah.
It really bothered me at that time. I remember that I was envious of others' success. My wife at the time, her brother got married. And got married to a doctor, and so oh, look at my condo, look at this new car, look at the clothes. And I remember I was crying one night, and I'm just like, why by marriage this guy gets all these things, and I've been trying and I don't have these things. It's not fair.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean,
Yes.
How high school can you get? But I mean, that really did happen. And yes, people, I did cry. But it was really bothering me because it's like at the time, I thought that I was having direction. I thought that, but my mind was always focused on, oh my God, we need to live, we need to eat, we need to survive. I got to pay bills. And so I was doing everything in my power to get whatever money I can get any way I could get, right?
Yes. Yes.
So after this dream, I call it a vision, I got up and I remember I was so excited. I talked to my mother-in-law. I saw this dream and it was a hot light but after that vision, I never worried about money again. I mean, I had financial difficulties. I did after the dream file for bankruptcy, but
Yes.
I survived that, and I went on to make 30 times more money than the bug ban thing in the late 90s.
Yes.
I never I just knew that everything was going to be okay. It's a very comforting feeling. And from that point on, I started looking at things differently. I didn't envy my fellow man because I believe that everybody has the tools to succeed and be happy. And everybody has the tools to have a wonderful, purposeful, fruitful life.
Yes.
And part of fruitful means you could be rich. There's no sin to being rich, okay? But it's okay if you're not, but it's in us all. And that's the thing that people don't believe like they should these days, I can nudge somebody, I could push them to the well, I could show them everything, every trick I know to become successful.
Yes.
But if they don't believe they can, there's nothing that I can do to change that. So I always used to tell my guys when I was training them, I would say, the door to success only allows one person in at a time. I can't pull you through it. You got to take that walk yourself. And it's a scary walk.
Yes.
What ifs? Well, what if I do this and I fail? Well, what if everybody laughs at me? Well, what if it flops and I lose all my money? Yeah, I mean, all those things can happen. But it all starts with belief. Second is the environment. It's nice to get validation and confirmation from friends or family. It's nice to say, hey, I'm thinking like this, and what do you think? Well, if you ask 100 people, you're going to get 100 different answers.
Right.
It doesn't make them bad people. It's just that at the time that you're asking them, they're in a place where they're giving you what they believe is the best advice. That's all they know, right?
Yes.
And so, like the Elon Musks of the world, the Bill Gates, and all these people, everybody calls them savants and geniuses and stuff like that. But if you really stop and think about it, is that really true? Or was it more that, they focused on a particular part of life that maybe we haven't had practice in? Just like right now, sales comes easy to me. Well, sales is pretty hard if you've never been in sales before. You know what I mean?
Yes. And it's very scary as well. For me, sales is very scary.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at it like almost like, if you're a salesman, you're begging for money. If you want to look at it that way, okay, but you're not going to be a real good salesman.
No.
But as long as you're providing a product or service that you believe in, as long as you believe that the sale is impacting somebody's life, either because joy or necessity or whatever, I'm not embarrassed to say how much money I make selling XYZ. Okay. But
again, sorry, one more, we're going back, that if you don't have a belief in yourself and in the product, you can't sell it anyway. Even if you are a good salesperson.
That's right. Even if you're doing it because you're a good salesman and, I just need the money, I can care less about the product. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you.
Yes.
And so what I've tried to do is I've tried to focus on things that I believe make a difference and at the sacrifice of the current time. So as an example, right before I invented Bug Ban in the late 90s, I swore to myself that I'd never work for somebody else again. And it's not bad to work for somebody, but for me, the type of person that I was and am, I would always climb to the top, and then the owner would remind me that I don't own his business. And I'm just like, I can't do that anymore. So could I have had other jobs after I walked away from a situation like that? Yeah. But I believed I didn't want that. I wanted to figure out something that I could do on my own. And so I sacrificed current money. That's why I was selling stuff at a garage sale. It's like I stuck, firm to my belief that there's a better way for me, because I'm not going to keep clashing with owners, because I take a very aggressive. If I'm in. You'll know it too, and I'm going to nudge you until I become annoying, and you're either going to tell me, hey, it's my company, stop, or I'll take over your seat. I mean, that's just the way I am. But all of these things, good and bad, also helped in my belief system. When you get off track, sometimes you get these self-doubts, and I never get self-doubts when I feel like I'm on track. I only get self-doubts when I'm off track. So it's perfectly normal and natural for people to fall off the rails and go off course. But you got to remember, you can always just readjust the course, by just like touching the steering wheel just a little bit, and you get back on track. So belief means everything, Carina.
So what I'm hearing you say, that if you have self-doubt, if you're doing something and suddenly you get self-doubt, is it because you've gone off track, or is it because suddenly you lose your self-belief? I mean, what is that? Can you even pinpoint it, really?
It could be a lot of things. It could be that you're going off track. In other words, the original intent and the laser-focused message that you wanted to do is now getting off message. Okay. It's like most of our podcasts. You ask me a question and I'll go off on a 20-minute answer. I get off message. It's kind of the same thing, but you can also go off track from listening to other people. That's external forces. It could be family, it could be your friends, it could be the media, the current events. I mean, without getting political, a big disappointment how polarized our country is. And I'll look at it all the time. I'll look at Democratic, like MSNBC. I'll look at the Republican kind of things. And they all kind of say the same thing, but it's how they spin it, where both sides are wrong, in my opinion, because they kind of formulate a story that kind of is most times misleading. At least to me it is. You can either buy into that, or you could just stop for a moment and just say, hey, I'm an intelligent human being. I'm capable of formulating my own opinion. So I'm going to take a little bit of this, I'm going to take a little bit of that, and I'm going to come up with what I think, right?
Yes.
A lot of people are easily swayed by others' opinions. Brings me to the first sociology question that perfect for the new year. I know you didn't know this was coming, but for all your viewers out there, and again, there's no wrong answer, but please comment, because it'll be very, very interesting to see what people believe. Is it better to be liked, or is it better to be respected? Answer that question. I mean, I have my own personal belief that I've formulated through trial and error throughout my life. And, I'm going to keep it to myself till next week's show.
Okay, well, I'm going to throw another span in the works again. And I'm thinking, you're saying, is it better to be liked or respected? What if it's not better? What if neither of them are good enough? What if it's about self-respect or self-love, and we put it back? So it doesn't matter whether you like me or not. This is who I am, right? If you like me, I'm like this. If you don't like me, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it.
I respect that.
Very funny. But what about respect? So what I'm saying again is respect is, I think you can only get respect if you respect yourself. Right? So if I don't respect myself, I'll come across as being wishy-washy, and I'll have a few people that like me because that's how they are, but I don't think you'll like me because of that. Because it's like, what is that? Because you're not firm and you're not in your space.
People that I call chameleons. They adjust who they are based on who they're with.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's not being true to yourself. You know what I mean? And so, it took me a really long time to figure out that there's going to be half the country that hates me and half the country that loves me. There's nothing I can do about it. But is it really about being liked, or is it really about being respected? And the only way to earn, not command, earn respect is to respect yourself first, right? Be fair to everybody, treat everybody the same, Classes don't matter, race doesn't matter, religion doesn't matter, background doesn't matter. I believe that we can learn stuff from everybody, right?
Yes.
And if
Yes.
you treat people the way you want to be treated, you'll earn their respect, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because to be liked is just so high school, you know. Oh, do they like me? Do they not? Do you think every, you know? And people fall into that trap. Most of Hollywood falls
Yes.
into that trap. They want to be liked. Well, you know, stick to movies and just leave your opinion to yourself, you know, and we're off to the races. But for me to respect somebody, they have to earn it. And you hit it on the head with the wishy-washy stuff. If you keep changing your opinion and changing your tune based on who you're surrounding yourself with, then yeah, to me, you're going to look wishy-washy. And I'm going to be like, you know what, they don't know. So again, we go back to, I think this says, oh yeah, know yourself. Now, I didn't pick this shirt for that, but it says know yourself. And, you know, what a great thing to talk about, right?
Yes, exactly.
How do you know yourself? How do you become an expert on yourself? You have to go back and you have to, what I do is first think about all the good stuff that you've done, okay? All the challenges that you've overcome, large or small. I mean, just that to me kind of gets me going. And then I think about my failures throughout life, personal or business. And I think about, well, what's the consistent theme in the failures? What keeps resonating with failure? Because they always say you're supposed to learn from your mistakes. And what I found, at least for me, is I didn't, you know, I kept making the same mistake over and over again, but in a different way where you don't really realize it until you do like this little, you know, deep dive and the system reboot in your brain. And you just come up with like, wow, okay. So once you realize the strengths that you have, and once you acknowledge the weaknesses that you have, you fortify the strengths, okay? And you work on the weaknesses. And that is break fear, find freedom in a nutshell. Happy New Year.
Well, Dino, then, so did you find freedom?
I have
found freedom.
I have, and you know, make no mistake. There's going to be plenty of time, and you know, I'm 56. I hope to live a long life, and throughout the rest of my life, I don't think everything's always going to be rosy, and I think I'm going to fall off track once in a while, and I may get anxiety, and I may get depressed, and I may get a lot of things, But if I keep doing what I'm doing with the reprogramming and the rebooting, I'll be able to minimize the pain and the fear and maximize on the strengths. And strengths, you know, in a nutshell, is what makes you feel good, what makes you tick. So, you know, I know that I'm an entrepreneur. It took me 40 years to figure that out. I was just, oh, I'm a great salesman. I'm this, I'm that. No, I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm a weird one, too. I like different things. I like starting different things. I like conceiving different things. I love to inspire people. I love giving out ideas. I like executing on my ideas. But I don't look at one venture as forever because I'm just not that kind of a person. Yes. And so why fight it? You know what I mean? Why fight it? You can have a miserable life. So that's what keeps me going. And I think what people will find out if they start doing the things that we're discussing is they're going to start realizing that we're all the same. You know, yes. And we all have the tools to fail, and we all have the tools to succeed, and we all have the tools to go off the rails and become, you know, raging alcoholics if you get in that environment. But we also have the tools to, you know, reject that kind of a life and just say, you know what, there's so much more to life there's so much more that I should be doing, and there's purpose with everything I want to do. And that's important.
Yes. Now we'll go back to purpose again. How do you find your purpose? How did you find your purpose? And have you found your purpose? Or is it something that's like, today, this is my purpose in life, but maybe in a month's time, it changes, right? And it morphs. And it becomes something else, or not?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, let's just take a year, right? Before that year, I was a 40-year stretch sales machine, right? Mm-hmm. And then I stopped and I wrote a book because I was compelled to write it. That's all I could think about, is writing my book. And when I was writing my book, that was my purpose. After the book, what I conceived happening, which I remember like 25 years ago, they didn't have COVID. They didn't have all this digitized stuff. I just figured, I'd be going out and interacting more with people. That didn't happen because it's a different world. So I can't reject the new world. I'm in it. Okay.
Right.
So I have to figure out how to embrace it, accept it, and get re-energized. And so through all things, avenues appear. And that's when this foundation came into play. And if I didn't look at it this way, if I didn't stop my sales career and I didn't write a book and I didn't promote the book, I would have never found the opportunity to have this foundation. Is this foundation the only thing that I'm ever going to do the rest of my life? No. But do I know what's next? No. And that's what makes it exciting. Mm-hmm. But you'll know when the avenue presents itself and it feels right. And now that I'm older, I have qualifications, where before I didn't care so much about, let's just say it was the best venture or the best product out there. I didn't care so much about the associates that I'd be involved with, because I just figured, I'm going to do everything myself, which most of the times I did. But now in my older age, I also not only care about the product or service that I'm going to get involved with, but I also have to care about the people that surround my life.
Yes, it's very important.
Because been there, done that. And, I don't want to hold up the building on my shoulders anymore. And I don't want to resent a bad partnership or relationship, because usually with that, one person does most of the work, the other person eventually coasts. It's very rare to find two partners that both give equally to the relationship. So
that's probably, just hold that. That's probably one belief that you have, and it makes sense considering you're coming from the traditional Greek environment, where that's exactly how it's a very paternal. I mean, it's like the Italians, it's very like paternal. So you have the husband who does everything and looks after the wife. Even now, I think in the 21st century. Don't you think that perhaps it's time to shift that belief and know that you can find someone who will share that, and you can actually share the responsibilities and grow together as a couple?
Yeah, and I think that comes from better word than old age is, let's call it wisdom. Like I said, been there, done that. In my personal life, with my multiple divorces and my business life as well, because most things that I've ever done, was with a group of investors or associates or what have you. And, I would always just eventually just carry the whole thing and didn't care that they were making tons of money as long as they stayed out of my way. But now I'm looking for more like-minded individuals to grow with, some that you can learn from and bounce ideas off of each other, but that contribute equally to a relationship. Now let's talk about the husband and wife that you and I remember, because Italian and Greek backgrounds, I don't want to stereotype, but that's how I was raised on my grandfather's knee. I mean, that's how it is.
Yes.
It's easy to have a wife, let's say for me, and that stays at home, all the bills are taken care of, they can do whatever, volunteer work or whatever. Typically, my ex-wives all started getting involved in my business. Mm-hmm. But I thought about it, and it's not because they wanted to. It's just because I got so busy, and there's very few people you truly trust. And it's like, do this, do this, do this, do this. It was a load off for me.
Yeah.
The side effect is these ex-wives were busy morning, noon, and night. I don't know what they signed up for, right? But I never stopped and said, what do you want to do?
Yes.
Because, just because you have a tremendous business or, you're successful or what have you, don't assume that they have the same passion, drive, and vision that you do. They may have their own. And it could be as simple as I love staying home, or I love raising kids, or it could be as complex as, well, you know what? I have an idea to open up a business and I'd like to do my own thing. Yeah. Find an assistant to help you with this, and this. And I never stopped and was sensitive to that. I always just assumed, well, you know what? Fasten your seatbelt. We're going for a ride. And it was a great ride. But and they never stopped to think about, am I really doing something I'm passionate about? Because they were so busy. It's like you forget. You know what I mean? Yes. And then during the times where it was, silent and dull and boring, we always made up for it by going to a very expensive shopping center and, buying tons of clothes. And you think that's happiness and that's purpose and, you're happy for the moment, but that doesn't really fulfill your life, So these are things, what I'm talking about are things that I would have never said in my 20s, believe me, or 30s, or even 40s. But some people get it sooner in life. Some people get it later in life, and you're never too old to start again. Look at me. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I mean, in my brain, I'll always be 7 years old. And sometimes I act like a 7-year-old, and that's okay.
It's okay.
But I'm older. I'm older, and I have to accept that. But that doesn't mean that my ideas die because I'm older. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be able to inspire because now I'm older. In fact, it gets better with age because you have so much information to share with people, as long as they believe. And see, when we get back to that, as long as they believe. I wish I had a magic pill that I could market and give everybody, take this pill and you'll have belief. Some people call it courage. They'll find courage in a bottle. They'll find courage in a Xanax or something like that. But all the tools that you need have always been with you, and they always will be with you. It's just choosing to tap into them and use them to your advantage, or they'll just stay dormant. And it doesn't make you a bad person, but just understand that this world is so much bigger than you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. I want to go back when you were speaking about your wife and you all just got caught up in this business, which is what it is. And then you'd go out and do shopping and then shop, which a lot of people do as well. Was it at that time that you started your drinking and your drugging and, again, pretending that you were happy or not?
Yeah. I mean, they were, let's see. Yeah, you're right on all counts, all three ex-wives. But the most recent thing, I mean, just to give you an idea, it's a Saturday, and I finally came to the reality that when it's Saturday or if it's a holiday, people, my clients, my customers won't answer their phone. And so it's okay to take a break.
Right.
I'd be working on Christmas Day and I'd be working on New Year's Day. To me, it's just another tick on the clock.
Yeah.
And I always used to say, people plan for parties more than they plan for their lives, which is true, and they get so mad. Oh, I'm taking off today because it's my birthday. So what? But anyway, a typical Saturday would be, going to a store, and they would open the doors at like Burberry or Prada, and they would close and lock the doors behind us. And there were no less than 7 people waiting on us. And they had the champagne that we loved. They had the strawberries that we loved. And we'd walk out of there with $30,000, $50,000 worth of stuff at a time. Of course, everything looks beautiful. Everything looks great. We'd start the shopping day by going into a restaurant that's in the mall and, have some shots. And then we'd feel nice and toasty and friendly. And then we'd start shopping. And then the champagne, and all of those things, it's temporary happiness because, again, I mean, when I divorced my wife and I was down and out, I remember sitting in my mansion, and looking at all these Picassos and Chagalls and antiques and Persian rugs and all that. And I'm like, I have all this and I have nothing. Yeah. And that includes the clothes that I bought. Who cares? You know what I mean? Look at me now. I wear T-shirts and stuff like that. I don't care. And that's a wonderful feeling. Mm-hmm. So that's also what I mean by going off the rails a little bit. You get sidetracked, and it took me hitting rock bottom with my addiction and realizing that money wasn't everything. And it's certainly not going to buy you happiness. And these are just material things that I could always make again and again and again. But more so than that, what do I want to do the rest of my life? Do I want to dread waking up and having the urge to, have a drink or do drugs? Or do I want to do something meaningful? Mm-hmm. And even at that lowest point, I still inspired people. I forgot that I could do that. Yeah. Yeah. And so when I got out, I had kind of a new look on life. I could have gone back into the sales stuff and recreated and whatever, but I think it's more fun when you reinvent yourself.
Yes.
You follow your passion and just go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's always exciting to reinvent yourself. And maybe that's also something that we can talk about. It's because everybody, like I say, everyone makes a big deal. It's the end of the year. It's just another day, but let's just... So are you going to reinvent yourself next year again? Question out there to the audience. But what about you, Dino? Are you in a place now where you find your freedom and you're ready, you've got your feet on the ground and you're excited about the future? But do you know if you're going to reinvent yourself tomorrow again?
You don't know when you reinvent yourself. It just happens. It just happens. And it happens at the weirdest times. It can happen because you lose focus and you lose track of who you are and what you're about. It can happen because you wake up like I did after 30 years of 3 marriages and having things taken care of for me, the digital stuff, the cable stuff, the internet, all the things that people find so easy. For me, it was taken care of for the 30 years of my life. Mm-hmm. So, newly divorced and out of rehab, I'm just like, okay, what's my internet password? I don't know. I mean, how do you, these are strange new things to me. So, I said in an article with Authority Magazine, the world has changed, but the principles of success will always be the same, always will be. But the world has changed, okay? Right. And I could have either rejected this new world or, before I embrace it, understood it better. Mm. So I made it a point to find out, what's the big deal with Instagram? What's this? Seriously, what's this Facebook? Why, what's a share? What's a like? What's a retweet? What's, all that stuff was foreign to me. But there's still people behind these social platforms.
Exactly.
And I think that you'll get a genuine conversation from a person face to face than a person on the social platform that is nameless, faceless, and only presents a certain version of themselves that they want you to see. Yes. See, it's all phony out there. So the world, in a lot of cases, hasn't changed. It's just you think it's changed. So you have to be true to your own beliefs, your own convictions, and say, this cyber world, although it's beneficial and it's helpful and it's fast and, time saving and stuff like that, it's a fake kind of world in many ways, right? The real interaction, the real energy, the synergy that you get out of life, the kicks of life, come when you're interacting with real people, yes. Especially face to face.
Yes.
I think it's always going to be that way. Will I reinvent myself? Many, many times. Do I know when? No, but I'll feel it. I'll feel it. I don't know how I do that, but I just do.
That's exciting because it means that you can go with the flow and you can, because for me, this is a very exciting time and it should be for you too, because it's learning all these new things and going out and experimenting and see what works and what doesn't. And if it works so well, like today, we're doing this live stream. Who knows if it works, right?
I got a Christmas ornament right on
Christmas ornaments.
See, I'd never be able to do that. I wouldn't know. Well, how do you do this? How do you do? But look, you figured it out.
You just play, right?
Yeah. Two old people talking about technology. But look, we're getting.
Okay. I'm going to stop you right there. I resent this oldness story.
I knew you were going to say that. I said older, two older people. But
it's all about sin. It's all about the way you see yourself and the way you feel, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Look, embracing my age was difficult for a little while, but it's fun now because I feel like the last of the Jedi. I mean, seriously. I'm still the guy who fights with the Jedi sword and stuff. And you believe it or not, there's a lot of people that don't even remember that time already, Mm-hmm. And so when you come in with this old wisdom, this old school stuff, that has value because it's not being done anymore. It's not being practiced. Well, we're just going to buy a mailing list and boom, 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 and we're going to do this and that. We're going to get likes and shares and tweets and all that. And that may all be great. But at the bottom line is, the big sales, the ultimate success, the purpose comes from face to face. And if you're so used to being, operating in the cyber world, but you don't know how to present yourself, hey, how you doing? In face to face interaction, people are missing that. They don't have practice with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a disadvantage for a lot of people, something that I see that not only capitalize on at times, but I can also share that with a new generation that may not even know about that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so these are good things to talk about because I think sometimes people forget.
Yes.
They forget the good things that they've done and brought to this world, or to at the very least their own personal circle of family or friends, and they ignore the bad stuff. They figure, well, it's bad. It hurts to talk about it. It hurts to relive it. So I'm just going to, sweep it under the rug. Yeah. And you could do that for a little while, but you really can't run away from your problems. And like I said, when I was doing it because I was drinking and all that, it's kind of like sweeping it under the rug because, when you're plastered, you just really don't care about anything. And, you're just going with the flow. But these failures and problems kept reoccurring in my life. And they kept reoccurring the same way. Why? Because I never, pulled up the rug and looked at all the dust that was under there and said, you know what? It's time to face it. Mm-hmm. It's time to face it. And it may hurt. It may be uncomfortable for a little while. But if you go in with the intention of not like, well, I'm going to relive this because I want to hurt. No. Relive it in a way that you learn from it. You don't have to fear it. It's okay. It's better to face it, and only then can you move on. So what a perfect segment for the new year, because when people are wishing for something great for a prosperous 2022 and whatever, look within. and make that wish also, for yourself. Obviously it's nice to be happy, healthy, and have a great family, have a great life, but it starts with you. So
Yes.
What are you going to do for you in 2022 is the better question.
And that's always a very difficult question to answer for a lot of people, because a lot of people, they'll look at the things they haven't accomplished as opposed to the things they've accomplished. So it just becomes that battle within yourself, right?
Right.
But if you sit down for 1 minute and you look at what you've accomplished, you might be pleasantly surprised, and that'll change your whole attitude.
Right.
Right.
It's the mild hurdles instead of saying, but there's always a but. Get rid of the but.
Yes.
You can't. Can you, if you've never done a certain thing before, can you just say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to do this? You're probably not going to do it tomorrow, but you'll get closer to it. So, allow yourself a measure of success in little increments so that it's not so overwhelming to you. Because, if you go into something like, say you want to be rich. Okay, fine. How are you going to get there? Instead of just saying, I want to be rich. What are you going to do? Well, I got to find the right job. I got to think of an invention first. I got to think of an idea. Yeah, okay. But what does it start with? First, it starts with belief. Right. Then it starts with mild hurdles and interacting with people and making infinite choices every second of every day. And these choices either keep you on track or some of them steer you off track, and you got to always self-check and keep moving. Yes. It's a process. And Carina, I used to hate the people that said, well, success is not a destination, it's a journey. And I'm eating my words because that's exactly what it is. After all these years,
it's very funny. I always think about, I don't know who said it, but someone said, never say never.
Yeah.
So whenever you say never, so when I was at university, and I was, a self-made, like Italian girl that defied the odds, and I had people that men saying to my mother, why are you sending her to university? She's a woman. And I always said, I'm never going to marry an Italian because I really don't like this attitude. Guess what?
You
married an Italian, and a real proper Italian, like only son Italian. So I really just did it perfectly, right?
Did you do it to please everybody else, or did you do it for yourself? That's a personal question.
Oh, no. I'll tell you why I did it. I was 27 years old. I was at I was great. I was just graduating. I had the world ahead of me. But you know what? Hey, I was scared of being left on the shelf. Perfect Italian. So I married the perfect Italian. Well, that's another story for another time. But that's why I did it.
Really? Isn't that funny? And funny. Again, it's it sounds to me like it's kind of a conflicting thing, because your belief was that you could achieve anything, you can accomplish everything.
Yes.
But your upbringing, your surroundings were telling you something different.
Exactly.
And you listened to your surroundings more than yourself because of this fear that was in your head. From probably very early on, because I know in Greek families, the mothers do that too. They just a daughter, oh my God, hey, you have to have kids by this age. You got to do this. It's the same thing. It's all these expectations and fear of disappointing the family, right? And so, I'm sure not all your marriage was horrible. I'm sure it was a great marriage and a great life. But it wasn't the life that you wanted.
No, of course not.
Yeah, yes. And so the same thing. One of the things I'll tell you that we differ on is because I was getting that whole thing too with the Greek girls, and my parents. Oh, you're going to marry a Greek girl, and in my school growing up, all the Greek girls wanted to marry me. This is young. And the fathers and mothers loved it because they kept pushing their daughters on me because, he's the son of a respected Greek principal, and, it's a good family and stuff. I rejected the Greek women with a passion.
Right.
Because I'm just like, they they all want to just stay home and have babies and not that that's wrong, but it's just like, I just don't want that. I want to go out and I want to explore and I want to live life and I, want to date different nationalities and just, see what the rest of the world is like. So I never got around to marrying a Greek girl, even with 3 marriages. And it's okay. It was just a wild ride. But I could have easily fallen in the same trap, Carina, by listening to those external forces in your life. And I don't know what it was, but I was just like, no, I just don't want to be pigeonholed in this direction. And I'm glad I made that decision at the time. But it's not just about Greek and Italians marrying like that. I mean, it applies to, everything that we were talking about.
Yes.
A lot of people are just like, well, I don't think you should do that. Yeah, it sounds too risky. Well, I don't know. How much do you know about this anyway? You should call somebody professional and get some advice. You start believing that. And what they're telling you is something that's, they think they're helping. But what you're hearing is, I can't do this. I can't do that.
Exactly.
I can't do that.
Yes.
And it's easy to hear the I can'ts, and you'll believe them more than you'll believe I can, which is just astounding to me. I don't understand why that happens, but it's easier to believe something bad about you or about what's going to happen to your life than something positive.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and we
it's true.
Look, success is a state of mind.
Oh, yes, definitely.
3-4 weeks ago, I was just upside down. I'm worried about stupid things and I'm freaking out and I don't know why I'm freaking out. My state of mind wasn't successful. And I'm glad that you caught it on tape in some of the videos because that was really me at the time. And a lot of people now that are, may go back and look at that segment, they're going to be like, wow, he doesn't sound very inspiring. Probably wasn't. But the reason I chose to still do your show every week, because I could have called in and said, hey, you know what, I'm not really feeling good and stuff. But I had to push myself out of my comfort zone. And I had to think about it this way. This segment that I'm doing with you, I started doing it with you because I believe that we can touch people and we can inspire people and in a small way make a difference.
Yes.
But during the time that I was going through this anxiety and stuff, I looked at it the opposite way. It's like these people, your platform and you are now going to inspire me if I just open up and say the truth and just let people know that, you know what, I have feelings too. I got a soft little underbelly just like everybody else. Negativity sometimes gets in to our head. It happens to the best of us.
Yes.
And it was therapeutic. So I did the right thing by sticking on the show and walking through the problems. And so for those who don't believe that success is a state of mind, go back, I don't know, 4 episodes, 5 episodes, and just look at that short time.
10 episodes. We're probably on about 10 by now.
Yeah, I stopped counting. But they're all fun, and they're all like raw, kind of unrehearsed stuff. We just start talking, and we just get on a subject, and we have a good time. But somewhere out there, obviously, your viewers do watch it, and I'm very happy that they watch it. And I hope they get something, even in a small way, something out of it, because that's what this is all about. But for everybody out there that thinks like, oh, well, it's easier to say than do, just present day, go back 4 or 5 episodes till now, and you'll see that I completely changed my thinking within a matter of a month. So if I could do it, you can do it.
Yes, I love that. And I have to say that, yes, there was an episode where you looked like a deer in the headlights. With
that was the antidepressants. I wasn't used to them. And they're like, here, take this. And then I'm like, oh, my God, should I have taken that before Carina's show? So when we're on, I'm just like this. And I went back and I looked at myself and I'm just like, hi, Carina, it's nice to be here. I'm like, oh, my God, that's bad. But it's actually good. I want people to see me like that. And I'm glad that we did it, and I'm glad that you posted it, because you know what? This is life. It's not always going to be rosy, but life isn't always supposed to be rosy. You take the good with the bad, and you keep moving forward. And the way you keep moving forward is believe in yourself, that you have everything you need to have a fruitful, successful, purposeful life. All you got to do is just tap into the tools that you already have.
Thank you. And it's a process. So it's one step in front of the other.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So I think that's a very good time to end this conversation. But before I do that, I'd like to, thank everybody for being here. I don't know who was here, but you'll probably see this on YouTube. And wish everyone a beautiful 2022. But what I've thought about is I'm going to introduce, considering this is mostly the Dino show, right? Let's break fear, find freedom, but it's Dino. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a little dinosaur somewhere inside this video. And if you find that dinosaur and you tell us where it is, we will give you a prize. How about that?
Can I play?
Yes.
Okay.
You can play.
Really? All right. No, I want to win. Come on. What am I going to win? Give it up.
We'll see. We'll have checklists. We'll have counseling. We'll have coaching. We'll have, I don't know, whatever we think about at the time.
Cool.
I need someone to actually come back and say, hey, I've seen it and I'm excited. And then we will see probably some break fear coaching, some checklists about all the beautiful things that we've learned along the way.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, right?
Did you just think of this?
No, I've been thinking about it for a few days. I just didn't tell you that.
Okay. But you know what? It's great getting comments from viewers. I encourage it. I know it's weird getting out of your comfort zone and being like, oh, well, I got to write them. But just write something. Remember the question. Is it better to be liked or to be respected? And here's the last one. Is it, for all the entrepreneurs out there, because this is kind of my litmus test, is it better to own or control?
I love that.
Go out there and have a nice new year.
Yes, beautiful. That's a beautiful way to end it. And then, of course, watch out for our little dinosaur, Dino, who will be wandering around somewhere in this video.
Oh, boy. Great.
And just because we can have fun. And here's to a beautiful 2022. Yeah. Lots of fun, adventure. Just enjoy it and just taste the deliciousness of it.
Carina, Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to the viewers.
Thank you to everybody.
This was great. And look forward to next week.
Yes, in the new year. And thank you so much, Dino. This has always been so awesome. And we will see you next year. Bye, everyone. See you next year.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. And thank you for listening right to the end. Now, if you want to know more about breaking fear and if it's keeping you stuck, check out the quiz. The details are below. Subscribe so you can hear some more of this delicious conversations. And then watch out for my book, The Clank of Chains, which is coming out very soon. Thank you again for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye.